was time to bring back just a few of the most listened to episodes from the last 12 months, the Best Of series. And even if you've already heard an episode, you will have changed and grown since it was first released. And things you missed back then will catch your attention. And I know that's 100% true because it happens for me all the time with books and videos and podcasts and everything. It's just that it doesn't trigger for you, but it will. And it's mind-blowing what you missed. And we kicked off 3 weeks ago with episode 1. Yep, the very first one where I share my story that I kept secret for over 20 years. And the thing that held everything I did and tried hostage. So make sure if you haven't listened to that one, that you do go back to it. So you're here because something in your life or your business just isn't working for you. Maybe you're in survival mode, just barely getting by, living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you're in a job or a career or a business that is leaving you on empty, depleted, uninspired. Or maybe you're just starting a new exciting thing and you're already finding that you're struggling to move forward. I have got your back. Welcome if you're a brand new listener to the podcast or one of our loving fans. Got your favorite drink ready, you got your earbuds in, you're nestled in a quiet spot. I'm already hearing some yeses, so buckle up. Take a deep breath and join me in a conversation about jumpstarting your life and your business and breaking free of your shackles and create the life that you really want. You're listening to the Unshackle Your Life podcast with Debbie Colburn, and each week we talk all things money, business, personal growth, and we dive deep, exploring the hundreds of things that shackle us unconsciously from our own true potential. And you'll discover tips and tactics to start unlocking your shackles and release an extraordinary life. Thanks for spending time with me today, and let's dive right in. We got a crazy topic this week, all about crisis and resilience. And there's a whole community of people in the world who are not freaking out in today's pandemic crisis. Millions of people. How is that even possible? I know you're asking. What do those people know that you don't? Well, I'm one of those people. And it's just not a big deal. I know, go away, go hide under a rock, Debbie, but it's just not. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not self-distancing. I so totally am. Or working hour after hour in what feels like solitary confinement. I for sure am, and that's not a highlight of my week. Or ensuring, making some adjustments to ensure that my 86 and 87-year-old parents who are healthy and active, that they have every chance to stay that way. Or missing seeing my friends at Starbucks? Who would ever have thought that that was a thing? Or my family. Maybe you're like me and you have family in other countries. I have a daughter and her family in the U.S. I can't see them. And my son's on the other side of the country. So I seriously am missing those things. And I gotta tell you, I have empathy, massive empathy for every single one of you who have been directly and even indirectly and immediately impacted by the virus and by all those other ancillary seemingly unrelated aftershocks. The job losses, the homeschooling, the disruption to routine, the evictions, the deaths, all of it. My heart goes out to every single one of you. But as someone who's hit rock bottom, we have a secret sauce. And maybe your pandemic experience becomes your rock bottom. Who knows? What those of us who have hit rock bottom, like real rock bottom, No, is that we have what's called past experience. We've been there. We've done that. And we're still alive and better. We've lost everything. We've lost the things that were most important to us. We've made mistakes that took us completely in the wrong direction, that we can't even believe that we made those mistakes. They're so stupid. We've struggled to overcome odds that rival winning the Powerball lottery. We've battled the voices telling us that there's no friggin' way you can make this work. Those voices of others, those even louder ones inside our own head. There are stories of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of people all around every one of you, of people who've hit rock bottom and built back better, stronger. And yeah, there are stories of people who simply gave up. But you are not those people. Stories like J.K. Rowling, the creator of the ultra-successful Harry Potter movie and book franchise, coming back from dire financial and family situations. That's really good English, Debbie. Stories like Oprah Winfrey, starting in dire poverty and surviving sexual abuse and racism. Stories like Damon John of Shark Tank fame, who literally grew up at rock bottom in the projects and clawed his way out, embracing his dreams and his culture. Not shutting the door on the things that made him him. And back in March, I found myself sitting alone in a little house. A place I retreated to when I couldn't put my finger on a way to make more income. And I didn't believe in myself for a very short period of time. That happens to all of us. We don't give up, but there's those things that we just kind of need we need a boost. We need an injection of belief. And sometimes that comes from elsewhere. I looked around and I told myself, I am so grateful that I didn't have a big mortgage or a rent payment at that time, or employees to support anymore, or real monthly bills and no job to have to worry about losing. I just didn't. The joys of being self-employed, of creating and running your own dream business. It means I didn't have to worry about those things. And yeah, you're going to hear stories and read stories, and you've been reading them for months now, about people who are self-employed, who've lost their businesses, they've lost everything, they're losing their homes. That's all part of it. But it's part of the journey. But those of us who've hit rock bottom and are still here, are better, stronger, it's because we didn't give up. Because it's as bad as it seems. It's just not that bad. It means I didn't have to worry about all of those things. Now, don't get me wrong. This wasn't ideal. It wasn't my dream life. It simply was my reality on that day. I used to, get really kind of annoyed when people says it is what it is. Well, the reality is, it is what it is in this exact moment, in this container moment. The past is the past, the future hasn't yet happened. But what is happening in this moment is what it is. But that doesn't mean it is, what it will be in the future, and that doesn't mean it is what it was in the past. It just is what it is. I know, it's like a Rubik's Cube. Just keep flipping it around and it all gets kind of confusing. I was super disappointed because When I was sitting in that little house, I actually had planned to be in Medellin, Colombia, exploring a potential new home. I was super disappointed because I couldn't even go out and see my daughter and my grandkids and, my son-in-law in the US. It was like someone had just put up a big wall from the grass to the furthest point up in the universe that you can't cross. The longest free border in the world, and I can't cross it. And that reality creates an environment that is very, very low stress in times like this. That's just how I perceive it. So let's put everything in perspective. I know you're probably a little bit confused right now. It's like, you're some messed up, Debbie. Like, how can you not be worried? I screwed up my own life when I was at the peak of my professional corporate career, when I made the worst decision, the biggest mistake of my life, a decision that took me 25 years to unravel every strand, to untangle the web of lies I told myself about me, and to forgive myself from and to rebuild from. Not one rebuild, not two rebuilds, but 6 rebuilds of my entire life. And rebuilding my life 6 times, the thought of the impact of today's pandemic and the aftershocks, it kind of feels a bit familiar. I'm sure if you've been down and out and you've come back, which I know all of you have, because you are the people I'm trying to reach, the people who understand that rock bottom is not the end. It's just a temporary place. It's a lesson. It's something that, for whatever reason, you need to go through. And I woke up the other morning and the words community, opportunity, vision, innovation, and decision were the first words in my head. Kind of coincidental, right? So you take the first letters, that spells out COVID. Community, opportunity, vision, innovation, and decision. No fear, no worry, no doomsday thoughts. Simply words that are future focused. How does that happen? That happens because that's the way you tell your brain to think. If you're preoccupied by doomsday news, if you're always looking at the nasty stuff, if you're always, you're just putting all that crap in your head, that's what your brain is going to think. You've got to stop that, guys. Do you need to be aware of what's going on in the world? For sure, yeah. Do you need to know what's going on beyond your front door? Hell yeah. You need to be part of the world. You need to be part of the community. But you've got to be really, really selective about who you listen to. And when you do listen to some of that not so ideal stuff, you need to be objective. You need to be able to add context and all that sort of stuff to it. And today, when I started crafting out the outline for this podcast, the words I woke up to were gratitude, attitude, and mission. Again, simple words. Gratitude, being thankful for everything I have, everything that's around me, every person that's in my life, every experience that I've had. Attitude. You hear that statement, an attitude of gratitude. Well, I'm not going to share that one with you. I don't believe that gratitude is an attitude. An attitude is, how do you show up in the world? Are you showing up as entitled, better than, arrogant? Are you showing up as a victim, blaming everybody? Or are you showing up with an attitude of, I am here to be part of the world, to be part of the community. I'm here to help and serve other people. I'm here to bring information to other people. I'm here to learn more, to become a better person. That's attitude. And mission. What? Why? Why does all this matter to you? We all have a different reason. And again, those are all simple words. And I can tell you, they didn't come easily when I was sitting at rock bottom, at any of the rock bottoms. They so didn't come easily. But they were like when I'm out climbing, doing my mountain climbing and stuff, they were like my ice axe. Pieces that you can hang on to. The things that help you move forward. And they're also things that you can grab onto as you feel yourself sliding backwards. They're handholds. Now, how does all of this happen? How is any of this possible? Well, last night I ended the night with classic Netflix. And I know you'll hear, if you're following anybody in the personal space, you'll hear people say, shut off your Netflix, shut off your news, shut off your this, shut off your that. Well, that's great. But if you really listen, you'll hear that the most successful people strategically take portions of their day or their week to just let their brain run wild. Some people read fiction books, some people watch mindless comedies, all that type of stuff. For me, mindless comedy. Mindless comedy. I didn't want no action. I didn't want any action thriller and guns. Just good old-fashioned funny. And the late Robin Williams always delivers on that promise. You cannot help but be so totally enamored by his comedic ability and his acting ability in every single one of his movies. But comedy, there's no one who rivals the late Robin Williams. And I told myself very clearly, not tonight. I am not putting that crap, the guns, the thriller action movies, the dramas, I wasn't putting that in my head as I was looking for something to watch. And although I've already seen it, and if you haven't seen it, it's mindless, it's funny, it's predictable, but it's funny. It honestly is. RV, as in motorhome, was my choice. Now, what's really, really interesting about that is it's about overcoming adversity and finding the true good in everyone, about finding the right community for you and your family. Oh my gosh, the scenery is beautiful, and you cannot laugh when Robin Williams riffs in his hip slang in the baller scene with his son, or he plasters himself on the windshield and pummels his way through the forest. Is it possible? No, but it's crazy funny. Rock bottom is different for everyone, but not having a place to live, not knowing if you'll be able to even have food to eat tomorrow, and the feeling that if you stop for even just 1 second are 3 of the most common touch points in rock bottom. Maybe some of you would say depression, sadness, sure. But it's not clinical. Those are just like clouds that pass over. But not having a place to live, not knowing if you'll be able to have food to eat tomorrow. And if you think that's ridiculous, ask anyone that's been to rock bottom. If they haven't dug through pockets, you're looking in the bottom of their purse and gone, oh my gosh, there's nothing in the fridge, then they haven't been to rock bottom. And the feeling that you need to keep moving, those are all common touch points. Now, so often in social media, people post, I don't know what to do. I've hit rock bottom. and yet they have all the things. They have money. They have family. They have a place to live. They have no addictions. Too often today, people throw that term around, rock bottom, as as if having a bad day is rock bottom. That's not rock bottom. Having a bad year is rock bottom. Having a bad decade is rock bottom. I've been there. Rock bottom changes you forever. It can ignite you or it can kill you. And both are a choice only you can make. Rock bottom is not overwhelm. There are people who simply use the term rock bottom as an excuse. The pandemic doesn't feel like that to me. Not if you're really, really, really honest with yourself. Most people have food. Most people have a roof over their heads. And most people do have some money and resources available. I think if you ask a lot of these people that say they don't have those things, the thing that's holding them back from accessing those, whether or not it's moving their family in with family or taking a substandard house to live or eating something that's less than what they think they're entitled to, it's ego and pride that's holding them back from those things. That is not rock bottom. If it does, if those things that you're experiencing in the pandemic feels like rock bottom, then my guess is you were already on a trajectory to rock bottom before COVID hit. You hear that? Sadness that businesses closing and so on. Businesses rarely close in a pandemic. If they were strong businesses with innovative owners, with creative owners, with opportunity-seeking owners, if they were strong before COVID hit. COVID just escalated the speed at which businesses were going to close. I used in Canada, Le Chateau, the fashion retailer, filing for bankruptcy just recently. That is not the first time they've done that. They've done that before. For decades, they've struggled to find their place in the fashion world. COVID escalated an ending that had already been in the works before that time. What happens is that people allow their fear of the future to overtake their brain today. They create doomsday scenarios and then believe every word of those doomsday scenarios. They start wearing other people's thinking as their own. I'm sure you've done that. Your family says you shouldn't do this or you should do this, and you start thinking, well, that's what I have to do. No. We need to wear our own thinking. We need to craft our own thinking, our own rescue plan. Rock bottom is not like that. Rock bottom brings out survival instincts. You've heard the term survival of the fittest, fight or flight. Well, at rock bottom, like I said, there are two things that happen. You either give up, and I know, like I've said before, if giving up is your strategy, you are not the people listening today. Because rock bottom brings out survival instincts, those fight instincts, not give up instincts. The difference is worry, anxiety, overwhelm, and panic are what's called playing not to lose. And survival from rock bottom is playing to win. There is a massive difference between those two. And why? Because at rock bottom, you have nothing to lose, literally and figuratively. But what is common is that both rock bottom and the worry, anxiety, and fear that people feel can end up feeling like shame. Not just feeling like shame, being shame. And shame, as we'll talk about in episode 31, so please stay with me, has a price. And the price of shame is staggering. We all encounter it at some point in time in our life. But if you've hit rock bottom, you get what shame is. You wish you were invisible. You hope people don't see the signs. So, here we are at the end, and I've got that question. Don't ignore it. Be brave and ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen if I unlock just one of my shackles today? So guys, I've been sharing my story all along, and I'll continue to share pieces as I go, but I'd love to hear your stories, and I'd love to see, what you did to start moving forward. And if you feel like you're stuck, if you're at rock bottom, you've started to get yourself back, and you're not sure what the next step should be, you need some outside perspective and so on, I'd love to help you. Hey guys, if you found this podcast helpful and think it could help someone else, please send them the link. It's in the show notes. And then drop a review in wherever you're listening. And then come on back and hang with us some more. Let us help you keep moving forward. We're simple to find on the interwebs. MS Debbie Colburn, that's MS Debbie with an IE, Colburn with an OUR squished between the B and the N, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and yes, on our website. See y'all next episode.